Hey fellow travelers, and welcome to Gullible's Travels. And this week on our special You've Been Scammed section of the program, we got a good one for you. Two Canadian men, both retired teachers from Southern Ontario, went to the Dominican Republic on a golf vacation. Everything was great, the weather was fine, the golfing was good, and 2 days before they left the resort, a man approached them at the hotel offering them a club membership. Now this membership, $3,500, entitled them to an upgrade from a 3.5-star to a 5-star hotel if they came back, 50% off the golf at the local club that they've been playing at if they came back, and the services of a butler. Now, once they got back to Southern Ontario and the liquor started to wear off, they decided they'd like to opt out of the contract. So they phoned the company. The company, they responded by saying, you've signed the contract and you're now obligated to finish up with it. They then phoned American Express. Now American Express's response was that they were both adults and should have known what they were signing, which kind of bears asking the question as to whether or not being considered an adult should be just being 18 and above, or should also include having some common sense. Well, once they started to do a little investigating, which they should have done before signing the contract, they found out that it was not $3,500 Canadian, but $3,500 US, which is approximately $5,000 Canadian. The golfing was not 50% off. In fact, the owner had nothing to do with the particular club that they had signed up with. And a butler, well, you know, a butler, do you really want a butler when you're on vacation anyway? You know, what if you were playing a little soiree? Wouldn't the butler kind of get in the way? And they could find their own good deals for the 5-star to upgrade from a 3.5-star. So as they started to do a little more investigating, they discovered that the company's headquarters were based in Panama. Now there's your sign. You do know why they built that Panama Canal to begin with, don't you? That's so when the law comes, those criminals had two escape routes. They could go to the Atlantic or the Pacific Ocean. Well, one of the retired men was a former teacher, a math teacher. Now, I guess he'd forgotten the basic rule of math, that any number divided by 0 is undefined. In this particular case, 5,000 Canadian dollars divided by 0 tangible benefits equals an undefined amount of foolishness. Oh, I love that analogy. I've been working on that one for a long time. I hope you appreciate it. Now, what I want to do here is sum up this little session by giving you 4 basic travel tips so that you can avoid being scammed. Tip number 1. Take your time. I mean, there's no rush to jump into anything. These boys hadn't even heard of this club before they went down to the Dominican Republic. Why all of a sudden now did they have to jump in and sign up right away? They needed to mull it over and take their time. Number 2, do some research. You know, make a few phone calls, go on the internet, talk to people. That golf course was only 100 yards away across the road from the hotel. They could have gone over and talked to the owner and found out that it just wasn't true that 50% off was the case. Number 3, read the contract. Now, you do know, people, that everything is in US dollars, the US dollar rules. I mean, what were they thinking? That if some East Indian fella signed up, it'd be in rupees? Well, I guess that's the point, isn't it? They weren't thinking. They weren't thinking at all. Number 4, and this is very important. Don't sign anything when under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Now, you do know, boys, what they call gin panty remover, don't you? Well, in this case, it wasn't gin, but from what I've been told, you were heavily into the margaritas, and You know, tequila, rum, it's the same thing, really. And you were screwed. Oh, I want to leave you folks with a quote from the writer Samuel Johnson. He said that you are more likely to be deceived by someone whom you don't know because they have never deceived you before. Well, you folks have a real good vacation.